Morning, everyone. It's Monday the 27th. I realized I was a little lax last week in getting my videos uploaded, but it's been a busy weekend. Actually, it's not been a busy weekend, which was really nice. I rediscovered my love of reading. My neighbor lent me a book. We've been talking about, you've heard the pop culture references to this is like The Shining, right? You get locked in with your family and kind of go nuts. And I only had sort of a basic passing pop culture idea what the heck that meant. So I was talking to my neighbor from like 30 feet away. So I guess I was yelling at my neighbor. Anyway, and so he was just finishing The Shining and said if I wanted to read it. I'm not a huge horror movie fan anyway. And of all of the writing styles, Stephen King is not really my favorite, but I have been known to read them like 1,000 years ago when I was younger. He's an interesting character. Um, I mean, growing up here, we all inherently know everything about Stephen. No, we don't really. But he's kind of an interesting character. His life is actually from the town that I grew up in, which was kind of neat. So I could always drive up Stillwater Avenue and be like, that's the house that Tabitha King grew up in, which is kind of neat in the grand scheme of things when you come from a small town, and it kind of gives you a little bit of recognition. I also came from the town that everybody was like, oh, Old Town canoes, everybody has to have an Old Town canoe, and I have two. Anyway, so I started reading that, and then I discovered, I really like reading. I grew up in kind of a not so happy house, without the details, but I discovered that reading was a place that I could just disappear. And when I'm reading and I'm really engrossed in a book, nothing out here matters. I don't hear noises. There used to be a rule when my kids were younger that if you asked mom a question when she was reading or when she was napping, and she said, yeah, sure, whatever, and it was clearly something you weren't supposed to be doing, like, oh, can we have, half of a cake or whatever, the kind of stuff that kids do, that you got in twice as much trouble because you were kind of taking advantage. Pry me away from the book. Hey, mom, put the book down. I have a question. Was perfectly fine. But if I'm in the middle of a book and I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, then, all bets are off. Anyway, so I started reading, and again, horror is not really my genre. So I'm about halfway through the book and it's starting to get really creepy. And I won't ruin it if you haven't read the book, if you like the genre. If you don't like the genre, then, send me a message. I'll give you the details. I'm not super excited about the story right now. Anyway, but one thing I do is I collect books. And so, you can see you've got the bookshelf here. Actually, none of these are books. These are all just miscellaneous supplies, like extra notebooks or extra loose leaf paper, or you can see the bottom ones are extra tools and miscellaneous crap we have in the house. But I do have bookshelves that, this is my homesteading library. So I've got books on plants and how to raise bees and, all of that, Firefox books, if any of you are kind of into that thing. Anyway, which is not Firefox, the browser, but anyhow. And then I've got, all of my textbooks. So, my math books from college and books that I've accumulated over time that I use to homeschool my kids. And, and at the bottom, I've got all of my sociology books. Of course, I have a sociology minor, so kind of interesting. And some of those kind of things, even if they weren't really textbooks, they're really kind of more intellectual nonfiction. And then I have, all of the really cool fiction. Like I have the, I guess it's nonfiction technically, the Little House on the Prairie series, which I love. Like I love Laura Ingalls Wilder books. Anyway, and I have like the Hunger Games series and all of those sort of classical children's literature. I don't know if that's even a thing. If you know somebody who's an English major, correct me if I'm wrong, because again, chemist, but then I have a shelf that is exclusively dedicated to like teeny bopper vampire books. That's sort of my guilty reading pleasure. So I started digging through and sorting that. I've got a whole other library that's just miscellaneous children's books, everything from the Magic Tree, is it Magic Tree House? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But they're the books that, you know, the kids grew up reading in first and second and third grade. And I didn't really do much with those except for pull my books out of them. So I went through and I organized all of my shelves yesterday, and I started like reading fiction for fun. That was awesome. Like half the day's gone by, and you know, I'm back with Bella and Edward, which is great. Maybe I'll pull out, I have some actual true classic literature like Bronte and stuff like that too. So maybe I'll get into that. I don't know. We'll see. Ordered a couple books online in quarantine. So, you know, always adding to the collection. But anyway, it was really nice to just sit in the sun, have some fresh air. I did that all day Saturday, and then Saturday night, cause it was kind of hot actually, even just sitting in the sun. So I took a shower and washed my hair, and after a day of the fresh air, I bathed the dog. We crashed. We were done. But I did work with a couple of students on Saturday because y'all had some questions, and I know this is our lab finals week. So anyway, at the suggestion and recommendation of a couple of students, I have uploaded all of these videos onto YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. That's kind of weird. But you can Google Tamara Shelley. It's nothing really exciting so far. It's just these kind of things. But my stepdaughter wanted to get into it, and maybe this summer we can do some YouTube live videos and, you know, bake a cake or do something that we do in the kitchen and hang out and have a good time. So you can see something more than just my recycles and the chaos that is sort of the entry to my house. So the chaos changes every day, sort of. And anyway, so that's just something that we're trying to do. I know we're coming up on the end of the semester, and I miss having interaction too outside of the house. So hopefully it'll be a positive event. Again, just keep it clean. That's all I ever ask, just keep it clean. But it's absolutely not affiliated with work. This is something I'm doing on my own. It's on my personal email that I use. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Today is cold and rainy. It was supposed to be snowy. Apparently it was a little snowy last night, and it melted, which is good because I'm pretty much over winter. Really yucky, but it's cold, it's windy. I've got the wood stove going full throttle here. I have a dog. I don't know if you can see him, a dog on the floor here. He's sort of melted. Yeah, he's a good boy. Right, puppy? Oh, no. Oh, just a dork. Anyway, so I hope things go well. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know if there's anything I can answer for you. For those of you doing the final, especially the fill in the blank ones, don't panic if it's marked wrong. Again, just know that I'm going to go back through and correct them. So, because if you spell something wrong, or you put a space in the wrong place, or if it's looking for a capital and you don't do it, or vice versa. So the LMS we use is a little bit particular that way, but that's okay. I will go through and I will edit them. I've got some grading to do this week. So, boy, I got really chatty today. I guess the first cup of coffee really helps. But anyway, keep being awesome. Check in with each other. I know some of you are dealing with some pretty heavy stuff. I'm here. Feel free to reach out anytime. Like I said, if I'm not sitting here at the computer, I've always got my electronic leash with me, and in fact I answered questions, you know, on my phone sitting in the sun. So if you got a message from me and it was like completely spelled wrong, or there were periods instead of spaces, that was probably me on my phone. Fat fingering I miss the old fashioned having keyboard, like keys on the phone so you could feel where you were. But anyway, whatever. That's me being old and reminiscing for 5 years ago or something. Anyway, keep being awesome, and have a good Monday, and maybe I'll do another one of these tomorrow.